Wanted to share a thought from actually the talk that I already pulled a quote from my weekly video, but it's a continued point from Elder Holland. This is an excellent talk. Um, it's a second point he makes. So he's talking about the laborers in the vineyard, if you didn't watch the video, talking about some of the lessons of that parable, where people came to work for the householder at different times, but got paid the same thing. And this is what he said as a second point. He says, I wish to take from this parable, or a second point I wish to take from this parable is the sorrowful mistake some could make if they were to forego the receipt of their wages at the end of the day because they were preoccupied with perceived problems earlier in the day. It doesn't say here that anyone threw his coin in the householder's face or stormed off penniless, but I'd suppose one might have. My beloved brothers and sisters, what happened in this story at 9 or noon or 3 is swept up in the grandeur of the universally generous payment at the end of the day. The formula of faith is to hold on, work on, see it through, and let the distress of earlier hours, real or imagined, fall away into the abundance of the final reward. Don't dwell on old issues or grievances, not toward yourself, nor your neighbor, nor even, I might add, toward this true and living church. The majesty of your life, of your neighbor's life, and of the gospel of Jesus Christ will be made manifest at the last day, even if such majesty is not always recognized by everyone in the early going. So don't hyperventilate about something that happened at 9 in the morning when the grace of God is trying to reward you at 6 in the evening, whatever your labor arrangements have been throughout the day. And I just thought that was a great thought, especially here, for you guys, week 9. Hold on and keep working on, right? And let bygones be bygones and keep moving forward. Elder Holland has a way of reminding us to keep at it. So I know that's true. I love that talk. I'm going to keep studying that. So we'll get started. Somebody want to offer a prayer for us?
I will.
Thank you, Spencer.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this day, for the opportunity we have to gather together as a class, whether we're here right now or gather later. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to have such technology to do so. We're grateful for the lessons that have been prepared, and please bless us to have thy Spirit to be with us as we go through this lesson today, and help us to gain knowledge and understanding, and help us to have understanding open to our minds. And we say these things, Father, in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, Spencer. All right, so just to kind of get a survey of your initial thoughts, what was your first thought when you saw the topic of this week? What came to mind?
My first thought is, okay, why are they having us read an unpopular pay plan? Well, that's when I first read the title, and I'm thinking, what does that have to do with anything? But I actually learned a lot from that article because I did not realize there was a difference between the pay cost and the pay rate, or I'm probably using the wrong terminology.
Labor rates versus labor costs?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And so this really opened up some eyes to some things, and maybe it's just because of the era I was raised in, but the employees didn't have very much say in how things were formulated in the business. They got their job, and they'd better work harder. They didn't have a job.
Mm-hmm.
And I've even had a boss tell me something to do. When I said I didn't know how to do it, he says, if you knew how. I said to do it. I learned really quickly. So with that said, there were some things in here that I'm going, gee, that would make a much better work environment.
Yeah, there's a lot that we can pull out of this. What about you guys, Spencer or Isaac?
I'm kind of in the same boat, except I still think that way when I'm working. Just work hard and don't complain about your pay. I guess I was kind of raised that way, but it's kind of interesting how people would, I don't know. I can see both ways where I think I'd be a little more motivated if I were a little more tied to being able to, I guess, uh, I'm blanking on a word here.
Oh, you mean like interested in the corporation or what's happening?
Well, if I were able to determine my pay a little better, like if I were to
Yeah.
determine and if I were able to work harder and get paid more based on that,
Hmm.
that might, I mean, or have a say in determining that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I definitely wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, and it doesn't always happen everywhere you go. So I
Yeah.
think that there's some opportunities in there for a lot of companies, I would say.
In my case, I was thinking about the benefits, and that's perhaps like the biggest thing that moved me to switch jobs. Salary was a reason, but I don't consider that it was like the most important reason. But instead, I realized that the fact that they were giving me so much more benefits compared to my current job, and the fact that the working environment was like super cool, that kind of made the deal for me. I mean, I went from being a trainer and working in the airline industry to going to collections and calling people, asking them to pay what they owe. And for me, it was very opposite. I mean, we had a lot of similar aspects, but the benefits and all the compensations that we're giving, that drew me so much like closer to take to that job. I mean, it was so attractive, and I still find it attractive even though there's like a benefit that I can't really apply because I'm studying online at BYU Idaho. But if I were studying at a local university, they would pay for my tuition. So, but still, there are different ways that I could actually use that benefit. So that kind of blew my mind, when I got the job offered.
Yeah, so compensation and benefits can play a role in talent attraction, and that's something to keep in mind. It's just how you lay it out and what you do with it. So, wanted to talk a little bit actually about the unpopular pay plan, the one that caught Rosemary's attention. Um, because I like the way that they organize this, and it helps us to ask questions of, okay, well, what did they do wrong, and what opportunities do they have, and then we have four experts that give us their insight. Um, so just before we go into these expert point of views, I mean, as you read through what Porterfield and Mr. Verde were laying out, I mean, what was any initial thoughts? So they laid out this plan. How quickly did they do it?
I feel Porterfield's like plan was pretty much a way. It made me think that he was like, I have to present a plan like tomorrow. I don't have that much time, so I'm gonna grab like very good arguments and just put them out there, and then present this plan that does not reflect, the company values and changes that we're looking for. I feel that it was like poorly executed. I really didn't feel like they cared much about the employee, but more like, so we're gonna pay everybody less money, and if you comply with all these super impossibly hard tasks, you're gonna get your original paycheck. And that's like, wait, that's not compensation. That's actually you're taking away more money. And
Hmm.
of course I'm gonna be upset.
Yeah, so you make 2 points: poor execution, and it appears that they're actually taking away base pay. Well, they are taking away base pay. What should they have done?
What should they have done? Well, one, they should have taken more time. They should have involved other employees and got some feedback on what they were doing. They should have got people on board and found out that, like Ruth Gibson's team, especially Ruth Gibson and her team, were feeling like they were kind of picked on because they had done all this work and all this overtime and, worked and worked and worked, and all they get is periodically their plant manager tells other teams what a good job they're doing.
Yeah. I
Excuse
mean,
me, sorry.
you're don't worry, bless you. You know, what's interesting is the fact that, you know, they they did it on their own perspective without considering employees. Now, I agree with Rosemary. I mean, they should have taken the employees' opinions, but I mean, they could have worked with them and try to brainstorm something attractive with them, and even seek the possibility of running a pilot test with a department, to try and test and see if it's beneficial, what was the benefits or the drawbacks. So I mean, they need more time. I mean, creating a new, pay plan, or I mean, you just can't, take it out of a hat, out of the blue. I mean, you got to work it. You need to be able to answer every single question, that an employee may ask. And have a way to, deal with the arguments as well.
Yeah, you bring up some good points there. Hi, Jeff, by the way.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. We're looking at the unpopular pay plan case.
Oh, yeah.
Just jumped in. So we're talking about, what they did wrong as far as throwing that out there. What was positive about it? Was there anything good about it that you saw?
Well, they did want to get teamwork. They just didn't go about it quite the right way. So they did have some good desires. They wanted to build the company. They wanted to get away from some of the old ways that were holding the company back. They just didn't follow the right path, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. You need time. You need buy-in. Product-oriented teams, team-based compensation. That's not a bad thing. We actually learned about that in the other reading. That can be beneficial. How did some of the members of the company feel about that, though? What about Mr. Science Guy?
Oh, he didn't like it at all.
No way. He was
said,
not happy.
Science guys they should just be doing the science stuff and not having to worry about working in teams and worrying about what the other person's doing in product and packaging and everything else. We just want to create the product. We don't care what happens to it after that.
Yep. And they say, I've got my credentials. I went to school. This is what I'm worth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you see that. You do see that in companies.
Oh yeah.
The thing is, it will depend as well, because, for example, at my current job, if we, as a department, we all reach our goal, and to reach that goal, I mean, we all have a specific amount that we need to work with, and if we, the more that we can bring, the more we contribute to our team's final score. So that has helped us, get some additional compensation, and that's good because that's like an extra benefit, and that's something I personally enjoy. Even though I'm kind of new, and they'll probably be like, "Oh, the new guy's getting the benefits," but I'm working hard as well to contribute as well to that goal. But it got me thinking, if you want to have like a team compensation, it better be in a way that it is fair for everyone as well, because I mean, poor science guy. I mean, that was unfair. That would be. He was not happy about it, and I would agree with him. But we need to find ways that everybody's efforts can be, combined, and not just one person.
Yeah. So what's the solve for that? How do you do that?
Well, I think the solve for the science people is just put the group together from the science team.
Mm-hmm.
And make that, incentive bonuses in that group. I mean, don't involve other people from packaging and everything else. I mean, if you do that, you're going to, someone's going to slip up. But if you combine them or just take care of a certain area and say, okay, packaging, this is your team. You guys are responsible for this. And if you can meet these goals and these achievements, you're going to get this, instead of having to worry about, okay, Mr. Science Guy who doesn't want to play on our team, is going to let us down.
Yeah.
Something like that.
What do you guys think of that, what Jeff just said?
Well, there's that, and then in the Business 101 class that I had last semester, we did case studies where some of the businesses required the employees to work every job just so they were aware of what was happening, what was expected, and how it tied in. And I can see some value with that. Could they put out take the whole science group and put them all out at once over in painting? No, but they could rotate them one at a time so other people could see how it worked, and so the science guys could see what they were doing, how it applied to reality and to the customers.
Yeah, I agree, and I think
So I think if you take what I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you take what Jeff said and then add in that kind of experience, it could build a good possibility for growth and unity.
Okay, you and I can make a good company then.
That's right.
What are we going to sell?
Yeah, right.
Rosemary and Jeff, CEO.
The art company. Well, I have to admit, when I was first reading this thing, I underlined or highlighted the premise is fundamentally very simple. Pay is divided into two parts: one fixed share of individual salary, in equity, roughly. Anyway, I highlighted that and I thought, oh, this would be great for the doohickey,
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought about it, and I said, okay, if it was handled correctly, it'd be great for the doohickey project. But you have to have the right situation at the right time. I mean, it could be something you could throw in there, but in our doohickey problem, we've got management who doesn't want to play with the other people, and so that wouldn't work.
Good call out. Yeah.
So I mean, I was actually getting ready to type that in, and I go, oh, okay, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
The doohickey problem is an HR nightmare.
It's you know what's funny? It's getting worse and worse as you learn more about the topics, and you start and you go back and read it again. You're like, oh my goodness, how did I not realize this was going on the first time that I read it? Yeah,
I agree. I mean, we could add probably 5 pages for each little topic that we have on the HR or on the 3 things that we picked.
Yeah, it's like we could just elaborate for ages, but the problem is, if the doohickey does not take any action at all, well, they're doomed.
Oh yeah.
But that HR person, that could drive, that kind of challenge could drive you away from HR really quickly. It'd make you think, being a greeter at Walmart sounds really good today.
Hey, I have days like that too, Rosemary.
Well, but on the flip side, can you imagine if he solves those problems, what it's going to be like? Then everyone's going to want him to come in and be their HR savior, basically.
I think the guy, the CEO, I would say.
What's that?
The guy should, the guy that manages to solve all of that on doohickey should become the CEO.
Yeah, that probably.
Well, even if he solved part of it, it still would be huge. It would be so much better than where it's at now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I should clarify, I have days like that in my day job, not with you guys.
Well, to the bright side, you at least get to laugh a little bit with us and realize all things are not as bad as I thought they were.
Oh yeah. No, I agree completely with that.
Yeah, we thought we were the ones making you sick.
Nope, not at all. You guys are great. Good deal. Well, so you go down through this. I mean, you've got input through the training manager, and he gets ribbed for thinking, hey, we're not going to go hang out with each other, and he's promoting teamwork, right? Who else jumps in there?
Well,
I think those were the main ones that we covered.
Does, and
I have one that was a little confusing to me, and I'm trying to find him right now. It was the one who said that I think he talked about. I think it's let's imagine that a rise in oil prices drives up the cost of ethylene, which drives up the cost of our products. I think he was for the plan. I mean, I got that impression that he actually wanted to charge the employees more. He said it's not a bad plan. He said we just need to even increase it more. Am I right in that, or what?
What do you guys think? He was the CFO, by the way,
Okay.
Chief Financial Officer. So that could be a
Well, that
factor.
should tell you what he was doing then.
He's looking at bottom line, right?
Right. But I think I mean, he said under this plan, less than 4% of an employee pay is tied to overall company performance. I don't consider that too enormous. After all, upper management has far more of their pay tied to overall performance. So why shouldn't everyone share both up and downside? If you ask me, I think we should automatically increase that aspect.
Well, the other side of that is if you're going to share the responsibility, then share the benefits, you know?
Right.
What it comes down to is he wants to share the responsibility of the downside with employees, but not the benefits and not the authority. And responsibility without authority is basically slave labor.
But that bottom line will look really good, Rosemary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, the bottom line would look terrific. Yeah, and it'd be all in black and nice and pretty, and people would be hunting for other companies.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my question is that a criticism? Is that a criticism of the program?
How did you guys read it? So Jeff, you're just trying to decipher if he was actually in support of it or if he was kind of mocking it. Okay.
Right. That's what I'm trying to figure out. If it was a criticism or if he was saying, that's what I couldn't understand.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's a criticism. He starts it with, I take exception to his argument.
Right.
And then he goes out to point out his example. Well, she was arguing against the program, and so he's pointing out why, in his mind, it should be even a more stringent program.
Yeah. So, like, and now that I realize he was chief financial officer, it makes sense of what he was doing. But yeah, that one just really threw me because I had to read that 4 or 5 times trying to figure out, okay, he's not criticizing this thing. He's actually saying, yeah, we could do this.
Yeah, he's being for it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's about the only one.
Pretty much. So, you know, you got all these players in the game. Then you have, okay, we're going to launch this. We've got 1 month. You know, there's a lot of barriers here. So, wanted to jump into the experts. So there's 4 expert responses. What did you guys think of those? I enjoyed these. We can jump right into Maggie first. They all kind of had their own theme to it. Let's talk about Maggie here.
I thought they all had some pretty good ideas for sure. Let's see, I'm trying to remember. I did this a few days ago, so I'm trying to remember everything.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Well, I think Maggie was, she compared this plan, I can't remember what company she used, but she basically said it ought to be an employee-driven plan.
Yeah.
That they should manage it, they should, you know, do almost everything with it. Let's see, what company does she...
Well, she mentions Motorola, and then she...
Yeah, Motorola, yeah. I mean, that was her main thing, and then if that didn't work, then she said it ought to be a gain sharing plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, she put out great thing. Gain sharing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, have any of you been part of that, something like that, either a profit sharing or a gain sharing benefit where you've worked?
No.
they do it here in Mexico. We call them utilidades, which would be like utilities. That doesn't make sense. But the bad thing about that is that it's only shared among very few people. You know, well, on the other company that I used to work, I mean, there was like, I would say 100 people in the company that would share the profits. Whereas where I work right now, everybody gets, you know, part of the profits.
Okay, so like a profit sharing type of plan.
Okay, there's actually a state that does that, but you have to move to Alaska.
Oh, really?
Well, that wouldn't be fun. When I worked for Delta, they had basically a profit sharing plan. We all got, I think it was in February, we got a percentage of what they made. And it was based on how many hours you worked, obviously, and everything else. So some people walked away with pretty good sized checks. You saw cars
Delta Airlines
in the parking lot. Yeah, you see new cars in the parking lot in February. So.
Wow, cool. What
And
about you? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So I just thought it was interesting to draw a distinction between profit sharing and gain sharing. Because I've worked for, my last company I worked for had profit sharing. So based on your tenure with the company, the more you earned, like you mentioned. Where was that here? Oh, gain sharing. So unlike company-wide profit sharing plans that are tied to health of the company, health of the economy, and financials of the company, neither of which do rank and file employees have any control, gain sharing is linked very specifically to what individual work teams do. So the gain sharing intrigues me because that's driven by, what the productivity of the team versus the whole company.
Right.
So imagine what that could do. Spencer, what do you think of this one? What jumped out to you?
Not sure. I'm still having a hard time remembering exactly what I read. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. I'm just scanning through as well.
It was a lot to read.
It's a lot, but I think, what I try to do with these is try to summarize the basis of their ideas, each expert. So if I had to categorize Maggie, it would be collaboration. A kind of a collaborative approach and a team-driven model. Would that capture it, do you guys think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so...
No, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's fine.
I was done anyways, so... All right, so that's Maggie, and then Donald Berwick from Harvard Medical School. What did he say? I'm just looking at my highlights here. So I had a question mark by a couple of his points. So
yeah, I like one of them. I think he talked about focusing on the capabilities of people rather than the numerical numbers. Because I thought that when you give numerical numbers, people can fudge those, but you can't fudge capabilities. So he pointed that out. And then he talked about the fact that you need to base pay on individual learned skills, new learned skills. Somebody's willing to learn a new skill and stuff, they should probably get a little more pay or a bigger incentive.
Yeah, do you guys agree with that one?
Oh, somewhat, but not totally, because a person could miss work because of maternity or paternity leave, and so their portion would go downhill because they didn't fully participate. So there's got to be a balance someplace. But one thing that this guy did is he somewhat did a slap in the face towards management. He says, to construct a meaningful pay program, Sam Verde should work out his own theory of motivation. he has not yet articulated or discovered what he believes motivates the employees of Top Kin. In other words, he's saying, hey, this guy doesn't even know his own business.
Yeah, pretty stern call out. Was that Tom Nyberg, the next guy?
No, that was Starwood.
Oh, okay, all right.
Actually, Donald, yeah.
So I was going to bring that up too, yeah. Does he have a point?
He does.
Yeah.
Because, you know, maybe going back a little bit to our team building topic or our motivation topic last week, definitely think he could have a point. You know, and I think that was evidenced a little bit in how those team members were talking to each other.
Yeah.
A lot of this ties into the 6 dangerous myths about pay, because he's, you know, they're pointing out, hey, you're trying to tie things into pay and focus things on pay that really don't relate to the pay. You know, you're muddying the water instead of diving for what you need to go down and find.
It's true.
Well,
So,
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, he also says that you know, that they're focusing on pay and they're giving up on value, celebration, recognition, joy, and good work as powerful motivators. You know, so they're just throwing money at the problem and saying, if I give you more money, I know you're going to do a better job. And some people work that way, and then some people, you know, don't. I mean, sometimes you're going to give me more money. That doesn't mean I'm going to work harder.
Yeah, you say thanks.
Yeah, thanks, and
Thanks for the money.
your car, you know. So
yeah. So, you know, if we're in the shoes of an HR director, what's the lesson here? As far as solving problems, or a manager, or whatever, what's the lesson as far as solving problems?
Pay is not the solution always.
Right.
I mean, you might be, for example, here in my city, there's this trend of the best paid call center in Monterey, and I was looking at them, and they're like, well, they are the best. They are, as a matter of fact, they have like very interesting benefits, but as I started looking a little bit deeper, it turns out that it wasn't as great as they claimed to be. So, I mean, pay is important. I will never. I mean, that's something you can't neglect. But what about the benefits and all the things surrounding, you know, that job? I mean, pay will not be the number one reason in most cases. Sometimes people are looking for specific benefits that will be better for them. I mean, they perhaps don't mind earning a little bit less, but those benefits really make up for, you know, for that difference.
Yeah, so pay isn't everything.
Okay, can I tell a story?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so back during World War II time, there was this foreigner who had moved to the United States, and he got a job at one of the aircraft companies helping build defense planes. And every week he got this slip of paper handed to him in an envelope. He took it home and put it in a drawer, figuring it was like in his country where that was how they gave thank yous. And finally he goes to the head of the company after 6 months and he says, I have spent all my savings. I've got to go find a job that pays me. They said, well, you've been getting paid every week. Well, he didn't recognize a check as payment because there wasn't actual money, but he had been working that job because he was so grateful for the freedoms offered in the United States.
Oh, wow.
that's cool.
That's an interesting story.
You were asking about what management can do. I think one of the things that management can do is invite people, HR, whatever, and solicit ideas instead of them taking it on themselves and just saying, I think this is the way we should do it, and I'm gonna throw this at it, and I'm gonna throw this at it. You need to get more input especially from the people, the teams and your employees, and say, hey, what would you like to have? Is money a motivator, or are there other things?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, me too. That's exactly what Tom Nyberg was saying. He says there's no ownership by either the employees or the development team.
Right.
Yeah, right, and no clarity. Nobody understood it or can understand every part of it because every team has different parts. Yeah, definitely. And we'll look at Michael, the last guy here in a second, and tie things back around. But one key thing that jumped out to me is root cause. What's the root cause? Is money the problem at Top Chem? I don't know. Verde, the CEO, says it is, but maybe everybody's fine with the compensation. Maybe there's some other issues. And that's where, Jeff, what you said comes into play, finding out what's actually happening on the front lines. That's going to be your best friend a lot of the times. All right, and then let's look at Michael Beer. What did he say?
I think he said don't try to use pay to motivate employees.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have found that people either work effectively in teams or they don't. Pay is usually a distraction and rarely improves teamwork.
Is that true?
Well, look at us. We're working in teams. Most of us have never met the people in our teams before, and the only quote pay that we get will be our grades, and yet we're all very vested in this process. We don't want to let our team members down. Some people go without sleep to do this homework. We're valuing our education. So, yeah, there are some people who will work in teams and others who don't. And there's some businesses who will literally ask people when they're interviewing them, did you play football or baseball or basketball in high school? And this was especially back when the work field was more male-oriented. And if they found out they did, they were more apt to hire them, not because they were a sports maniac, but they knew that the person had experience working in teams.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. One thing that Michael Beer said in there, Sam Verde doesn't really want to generate passion around compensation. Why do you think he said that?
Well, that's where are you reading that at? Because that's
So
a
that's
little
on
bit.
page. That's actually on the last page, page 10 on the left column, second paragraph.
Okay.
Hi, Tammy, by the way.
Hello.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So that was probably said because the compensation has got all jumbled into this mess. But that's not really what Sam Verde's plan was. He wanted the passion over beating the competition and serving the customer, but what's his name? Gil Porterfield took another pathway, and Verde was supporting Gil, but really and truly, it wasn't the direct path to going where he wanted to go. And it was probably a path that would never get him there.
Right.
I think of everyone. I think Beer. I can hear myself. I think he hit it right on the head. I think he said there's no problem from what he could see with their pay system the way it was. And why mess with it? You know, if you're going to mess with something other than the pay. You know, create something else, or like he said, you know, and he said, you know, try to commit the compensation issue to the committee where it'll die a quiet death.
I like that.
You know, I mean, put it into a committee and let them
Let 'em
and they'll kill it.
It's true.
You know,
But we don't do that enough, do we?
no, we don't.
We think we just throw a solution out there, go for it, and then when we say, oh, it worked, or oh, it's not working.
And you know, I like the last paragraph. You know, the last thing he says: most organizational change is done without an effective diagnosis. People change the wrong things because they fail to identify the root causes of the problem at hand, and that's so true. I mean, they started making changes in my previous job, and I was like, "Why are you making these changes? Like, haven't you seen all of these other problems that are more important than the changes you're making?" And you know, and that's true. I mean, why? I mean, while they want to make those, Porterfield wanted to make those changes, like, have you actually taken the time to realize what benefits, or do you even have an idea of what you're doing? You know, it sounds like you were just bored and just started, you know, rambling, and you started talking to people and like, you know, let's create this plan that's gonna help everyone.
Yeah. Well, let me throw something at you. We had a meeting at my work today, and there's only 13 of us. Okay, and the boss announced that there's going to be 3 team leaders of each one of our little groups. And when he announced the names, there was dead silence because obviously we did not agree with who he had picked. And his one comment was, he goes, if you have a problem with who I picked, you can come to my office and I'll explain to you why I picked this person. And it didn't set well. And it's going to be interesting because I've had discussions with everybody else outside of the meeting. There's a lot of hard feelings. And one of the gentlemen who's been picked as a team leader has only been with us for like 6 months, and he happens to be the boss's best friend. So so that's one.
There you go.
And he knows nothing about what we're doing. He thinks he does, but he doesn't. And so that was the one stab that everybody took, and it's going to be interesting. You know, but there was no. Obviously, the boss didn't bring us in together and say, who do we see as being a leader? He just picked who he thought would be a leader. And it's going to be interesting.
I think he picked who he wanted to have the higher pay by being a leader.
I don't know if there's going to be a higher pay to it.
Well, you
There's
know,
going to be
he wanted
more
to
responsibility.
give them status.
This person is if I may say, a brown noser.
Okay.
Oh no.
And obviously, I mean, to be there less than 6 months and to, you know, start being a leader over us. And I've been there for a year and a half, and I have 30 years of experience in transportation, and he was a manager of a casino. So, and he was, you know, so, and he didn't even really do that. He was just a. So anyway, that's my whining for today.
Well, Jeff, I hope you're not on his team.
I am.
Oh, you are?
Ouch.
I mean, I understand because they opened a position for a operations coordinator, and the guy that was hired was actually not working for a company. Turned out to be one of our operation manager's friend, and the guy's been there for almost a year now, and he has no clue what he's doing. Like, everybody complains about him. And, you know, try to be nice, you know, play like the nice guy card and help out. And then I quickly realized that he pretty much didn't want to do anything. He relied a lot of his tasks on the whole operations team. And we're like, nope, ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
Well, good. Yep. Don't let those other feelings sway you. So those challenges are real. They happen. And letting those biases and letting the lack of teamwork and collaboration take hold, that doesn't get you anywhere. So those are things that we can keep in mind in our current roles or in our future of how we want to handle things. My 2 cents on compensation is two items. So I think if there was any area, and again, this is just Travis theory, but if there was any area of HR that has the most room for innovation or, a flexible approach, it would be compensation. I think there's a lot of good going on out there with benefits, but amid the challenges of benefits. But with compensation, we tend to do the same thing. I mean, for me, I got a base rate of pay and I get a cost of living increase every year. And then my company in certain areas does have a bonus structure, but that's it. And that's all individual contribution stuff. But I would love to see some of these things that were mentioned in this reading. So I think there's tons of opportunity. So being able to speak that language and kind of have those thought processes can be very beneficial to you, no matter what you're doing. The other thought was money does not motivate, but it certainly does demotivate if it's not right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a demotivator up to a maintenance. So it maintains, but it does not motivate. So I'm with some of these experts that say, let the pay problem kind of take care of itself.
Yeah.
Let's build a team. And that usually goes a long way.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, well, you can go ahead. Ladies first.
Let's see if I can pick the thought back up. Well, a lot of the problem with pay is people act like there's a finite amount of money in the world or in the business world, and so you've got to limit the pay, and that is not the case. You can grow your business, you can earn money, you can grow the company, and you don't have to limit your employees' pay or your pay. You just have to work and bring in the proceeds. There's not a cap out there that says Jeff is only going to earn $60,000 for the rest of his life, or whatever the case may be. That's part of why we're in this class, is we haven't put that ceiling over our heads.
Well, my comment was, if we were all football players, football players, professional football players, they get incentive bonuses. How many tackles, how many passes, how many receptions you make, and things like that. So, and it works for them. Of course, if I was getting paid, $20 million, I don't care how many passes I catch.
That's true.
So,
good deal. Any thoughts from you, Isaac, or Spencer, or Tammy?
Not for me.
No. It was interesting, the thought of money actually being a demotivator. That was interesting. I hadn't ever considered that perspective before. You just think, you do better, you get paid more, you have more experience, you get paid more, you do well, you get bonuses, and then that's what motivates you. But I hadn't considered the alternative view, and I can see from that perspective that it's probably, that's probably true, that that it can be a demotivator instead of a motivator.
It can be. So yeah, I agree. It's something to watch for. It's something to keep in mind, and it's definitely a huge part of HR. So, like I said, being able to kind of speak that language and have that understanding helps you guys. And I, of course, going back on a spiritual level, thinking of our Heavenly Father, his law of compensation is the best one, right? Because we know that everything is going to be recognized at some point. And so whatever we're dealing with now, whatever difficulties we're having now, we know spiritually will be compensated. And if it's not now, it's going to be later or in eternity. And we can have that faith. And so I'm thankful for that, because what we would do without that understanding, life would be pretty dismal. But we always have something to anchor our faith to, which is what we call hope, having that hope. So knowing that Heavenly Father is watching us, hey, if we're not making a lot of money right now, Heavenly Father still knows how to take care of us. He just says, pay your tithing and keep my commandments, do the right things, and things turn out good. So appreciate the discussion. You guys are great. We'll go ahead and let you go. If you have questions, let me know. Anybody have questions at the moment?
You know, I actually do have a question just regarding some grades. I've just noticed on my when I was looking at the grades, when I wasn't the discussion leader, it has a spot where it just has a 0. Is that, it just doesn't have the grade that was given to the group in my listed? Is that normal?
It shouldn't have a 0. It should just be, because what I do with those is I grade the ones that are the group leader only, and then when I leave an assignment blank, it actually excuses the assignment.
Okay, I'll go back and look for sure. I didn't notice that if it was a blank or a 0.
I'll double check. If there's a 0 there, I'll fix it. But yeah, whenever I leave it blank, it actually excuses it.
Oh,
so,
okay. Okay.
I wish it didn't red flag it like it does for you guys, but it does excuse it from calculating into your actual grade.
In the main content page, it also leaves that you have one assignment. It doesn't check it all the way off.
Right.
Okay.
So, I just wanted to make sure that everything was good.
Yeah, that bothers me when I see that 1 there.
Yeah.
Going back to it, going,
Yeah.
what do I got to do to fix it?
I know.
It is bothersome. I get that. I'm good. There's little things with iLearn 3 that are like that. So I'll see if there's a workaround. I mean, with not putting a score there, just know that it's not calculating into your grade.
Okay.
And hopefully we can find a fix.
The peer evaluations. I know there has been a problem. Is that going to continue? Because that really ticks me off when I hit.
I know.
That's really annoying.
So,
and I go, oh my gosh. And I go a day for like 2 or 3 hours.
I know. It's so frustrating. I get it. They're working on it. It has been highly escalated. So my colleague that also teaches this class, he's also one of the course creators, and he told me, in fact, he says, I've let him know that this is an issue and how frustrating it is. So he's kind of put a level 1 escalation on that. So hopefully we'll see a solution before the semester ends, but we may not, because it's in how they built the course for this semester. And so we just have to, I wish, because what happens is you guys do the assignment, and instead of putting a pending grade on it, it just throws an F in there.
Which is not a warm fuzzy. That's not a warm fuzzy.
No, it's not. It's not. So the best I can do is to tell you that we're aware of it, and then as soon as I go in there and grade it, it adjusts.
So do you want to still get those little emails from me saying that a little frustrated on that end, or do we just go ahead and ignore it?
It's up to you. If it's helpful in any way or therapeutic to fire off an email, that's fine.
Not helpful, but
Basically, if you send us an email telling us it's fixed, and I won't send you an email. But until I get that email, you're going to get mine.
Okay, that's fine. I'll take the heat. That's okay.
My other question is now, if we have 5 people in the group, and we get through number 4, and then for number 5, like this last time, I just said, it's me. I just typed something in there just to, because the first time we did it, you click it and it'd still say it was open because you didn't put anything in that box.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I noticed that.
It doesn't put anything in the box, so I click the box so at least something knows I've done it.
Yeah.
But then I send off my email because of the three-legged name that I don't like.
Yeah, well, like I said, I this time I put it's me, and when it said give yourself comments, I said I can't comment on myself. So,
Yeah.
You're like, I get an 8.
yeah.
That's fine. And the main thing is the feedback for your peers, which I am gathering, by the way, so that I can kind of share that out. I'm still gathering it from. I was just going to combine both because I got a little bit behind on that first one because of the failure problem we were having. So.
I haven't. One other question. I haven't looked and seen. Have you graded our doohickeys yet, or?
I have not, but I will be doing that this week.
Because I was just checking to see if that's been up and running or not. So.
Yeah, I will be doing that this week. Goal of getting those done by Saturday. So.
Okay.
It's a lot of work.
It's great though. I love reading them. You guys do a good job. And then any feedback I provide is just food for thought. I mean, obviously the next paper is the next paper on different topics, but just try to provide some feedback and help you think through it and stuff like that. So.
All right.
Okay.
All right, all. Well, thanks for joining. Anything else?
No, that's enough to complain about.
You're all right. Those are legitimate complaints.
Okay.
Okay. Well, have a great evening. Thanks.
All right.
You too.
Have a good
Take
night.
care.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.